All right, if it's Tuesday, it's only time for one thing, and that is, Mike, what?
It is time for Comic Book School, where we teach you the craft and business of making comics.
That's right. This is your regularly scheduled time to talk about how you can improve your craft and business of making comic books, whether you're brand new and just starting out or just want to level up your craft. You've come to the right place.
Yep, and we already have someone here.
Hello, I am here.
And blank stare.
And new videos appear. That's correct.
Yes.
You know what, Mike? We're going to be lol. We got a lol already. Mike, we got a very interesting and unique topic tonight. All the books that you see here in this photograph we'll be discussing. I have them right here next to my desk in case we need them. But tonight we're going to be talking about nonfiction graphic novels and what they might mean for you and me and everyone else who's making comic books. They represent an opportunity to break in, show your stuff, and get into libraries. How about that?
We got a comment from Gatilla on that one. Educational comments.
Don't worry, Gatilla. These are fun educational comments. They're not
Victor's here. Hi, Victor.
Hey, Victor. Victor, hey, nice to see you. All right, Mike, before we get started, people need to know who we are. So we're going to do a quick round of applause for you, Mike Fasolo, three-time Emmy Award-winning television writer, best known for Robot Chicken, Wizard, Toy Fair, Inquest, and all those other things. This handsome guy with the trophy or the chalice is you. And then this is me, Buddy Scalera, award-winning comic book writer and guy about town. Thank you so much. Just got those tears on a loop, which makes us particularly qualified to talk about the craft and business of making comic books and writing. Don't worry, Andrew. We can't teach you anything.
It won't be too bad. It won't be too bad.
Yeah, it won't be too bad. It'll actually be kind of fun. Tonight, we're going to be talking about nonfiction graphic novels and what they represent to you as an opportunity as a creator. So if you don't love educational stuff, you may love the fact that they get you paid work. Paid work is good, right, Mike?
Paid work is excellent.
How do you feel about paid work, Mike?
I would pay to get some paid work.
I think you may have to. I think it's pretty tough out there. Okay, Mike. So this stack of comics, you know what's special about this stack of comics, Mike? You're probably never going to guess.
It is 6 inches tall.
It's pretty damn close. They all came from the public library.
Look at that.
And I should note, they all came from the same public library. I was at the Oradell Public Library in Oradell, New Jersey, and I noticed that they had a treasure trove of pretty amazing graphic novels, comic books, and all sorts of fun stuff. And as I was taking out items actually for last week's show, I took all of these out. You know, there's a limit to 50 books that you can take out of the library, and 50 of these is very heavy.
I was just going to ask you if there's a limit to how many books you can take out.
Yeah, they said 50. I didn't hit 50, but I did have to make 2 trips to the car.
Is that still the Dewey Decimal System they're using?
It is. It's Dewey from what was that movie? Scary Movie. It was Officer Dewey.
You tell him, Greg.
Wow. This is gonna be a tough crowd tonight. Okay, Mike, we're gonna drop some education on you right now.
Oh yeah, they're going on for about 40 minutes about the comic book about kale. I don't think that one's in there, but could be.
It might be.
You could write the first one on that, Gatilla.
Mike, unfortunately, the first and last comic book graphic novel that won the Pulitzer Prize was in 1992 for Mouse, which was a autobiographical graphic novel, anthropomorphized, showing mice as the Jews driven out of Germany by the cats, which were the Nazis. It is a powerful true story about Art Spiegelman, who's a very famous and contemporary artist still alive today. It paved the way in many ways for us to have comic books in libraries, in schools, and obviously in many ways drove new thinking about comic books, because they stopped calling them comic books and they started calling them graphic novels.
Well, of course. It's like you can't call action figures dolls. They're action figures.
I call them dolls.
All my dolls lined up on my shelves.
You look at those old ads. It was like, "You're gonna go play with your dolls," and I was like, "Okay." Now I will note, Mike, I do bristle a little bit. I don't like saying graphic novel when we go into a comic book store, because let's just call it what it is. It's a comic book, and it's cool.
It is a comic book. Yes,
it's a comic book. Redheaded Ed, I agree. That was an amazing read. Mike, have you ever read Mouse?
I have never read Mouse. I've heard only good things about it and how great it is, but I have never picked it up.
It is heart-wrenching. It's heartbreaking, and it is very difficult to read. You may cry at the end, as I did. It was the story of Art Spiegelman's father getting thrown into concentration camps, beaten by Nazis. And I think it's an essential read for every comic book creator because it shows what you can do with the medium.
Yes, it is definitely one that I've always wanted to pick up, but partially because, like just you said, it was so sad, you might even cry at the end. It gives me a little hesitation to read it.
Yeah, there's Mouse, which tells the whole story, and then Mouse 2, which is a follow-up. It's only been out since 1992, Mike. No rush. Shouldn't feel pressured.
I'll see if I can find it sometime in the next.
You can find the time and slip it in between your day job.
Yes.
All right. Mouse, in many ways, paved the way. We can argue, Will Eisner, this one, that one, the other one, all the different things that went into it. 1985 with the adult graphic novels and Watchmen and stuff like that, or 86 rather. But Mouse was one of the things that added an air of, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, legitimacy to comic books. Somehow it was not a legitimate art form or a craft. But in recent years, there's been this massive explosion in nonfiction comic books, Mike. And this actually represents, let me pop out of this because I don't know how this happened. I did this.
Oh, boy.
Nonfiction.
Now you can't see it.
Nonfiction graphic novels.
There it is.
There you go. There's the graphic. So nonfiction graphic novels. And why this is important is because this may represent one of your best opportunities for you as a writer, an artist, a colorer, a letterer, an inker, or an editor, or a publisher to break into comics, because in a lot of ways, these are not dependent on you being Jim Lee or Alex Ross. They are all about the content and the narrative told in a compelling way. What do you think of that, Mike?
It's interesting. Are these mostly published by, probably not Marvel and DC, but like indie publishers, or even some names like Image? Or
I'm glad you asked, because Mike, I took an extra step today because everybody needs that extra help. In every one of these examples, Mike, I show the cover and I show the inside cover so that you can see where the publisher is, and then you can Google them, look them up, and see if they are taking submissions.
Interesting.
See if they are taking submissions.
Now,
it's not just all jokes about anatomy, Mike. Sometimes we have to do things to keep the lights on.
This is the craft and business of making comics.
That's right. So in this particular case,
we got Jared on. Tessa Hulls had won a 2025 Pulitzer in memoir or autobiography for Feeding Ghosts, a graphic memoir.
Can you just start that from the top, Mike? Because that was the worst read you've ever done. Could you just go again? Let's do this.
Here we go. And take two. Tessa Hulls had won a 2025 Pulitzer in memoir or autobiography for Feeding Ghosts, a graphic memoir, the second original graphic novel to win one.
Wow, I did not know that. Jared actually has his own YouTube channel, Mike, and we should have Jared on as a guest.
Let's get Jared on as a guest.
Keep reading.
Welcome to the New World, won in 2018 for editorial cartooning. And I Escaped Chinese Internment Camp, won in 2022 for illustrated reporting and commentary.
Good night, everybody.
Jared knows everything.
Good night, everybody. Apparently, I didn't do my homework.
Get Jared. Jared, come on the show.
Yeah, Jared's a good guy. And he has his own YouTube channel. Jared, put your YouTube channel link inside of the chat room. This way everybody can do it. Jared does a readout. So, Mike, you love video games. I love video games. How much do you love video games?
I love video games.
I love
Not
video
even
games.
just the big arcade games, but even ones I can play at home. Xbox.
Well, you might be interested in the comic book story of video games, the incredible history of the electronic gaming revolution, where, and you can see these are actually me taking, ridiculously poor pictures of comics. But what I want to point out is that this is not X-Men style drawing. Right.
No.
This is not like, oh, your anatomy's not perfect, Mike. You have to come back in 2 years and we'll critique the way you draw hands, or your light sources aren't perfect. This represents an opportunity for you as a creator to share ideas or get hired by a publisher, as we noted in the last slide. This was published by 10 Speed Press, which is a regular mainstream publisher. You can see that it was, and actually Greg maybe even knows these people. Jonathan Hennessy, and art by Jack McGowan. And then you can see lettering by Tom Orzechowski, who's a famous comic book letterer. As we go through these, would you want to read the comic book story of video games?
I think I would. I'd probably give that a shot just to see what was happening.
I would too. Then they had, and I'll note here so we can zoom in again. NBM Comics Biographies published The Rolling Stones in comics. What do you think of the Rolling Stones, Mike?
They're okay. They got some songs that I'm like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I kind of missed the Rolling Stones at a certain age. I enjoyed them. Many of their songs. I still enjoy many of their songs. Went to see them a couple summers ago. Not my favorite band, but always have, every album has at least one or two good songs on it. When you go back and you listen, you're like, wow, I really love that song. There's usually a Rolling Stones song in there.
And there's probably, obviously there's some huge Rolling Stones fans, and they were like, why not make a comic about it?
Why not make a comic about it? So what was interesting about this one, Mike, for those of you out there who don't think you have the endurance to draw 128 pages or more of comic books, the Rolling Stones comic and graphic novel featured art styles of many different types. So what they would do is, I believe in about 8-page increments, they would draw a chapter that would highlight a moment in Rolling Stone history. What do you notice about the art styles, Mike?
They vary dramatically.
Very dramatically. They all work in their own way, and they all allow each of these creators to get a published credit. Hopefully they also got paid for it. I don't know. I don't know much about behind the scenes of it. But I kind of like this because it chunked it out in small digestible pieces. And, sometimes the art was a little goony and goofy and silly. And then sometimes it was very high realism. I just thought that this was a great example of how you, as a creator, putting your portfolio out there, putting yourself out there on social media, sending your materials to different publishers might get you discovered and published in an anthology like the Rolling Stones anthology, which isn't half bad to be seen in, because I'm sure it's been read by many, many people.
Yes, I would actually like to read this more as the cartoony style instead of the...
Which one? Which one's your favorite style, Mike?
The one on the far right.
Far right? Why does that appeal to you?
No, I like it. It's just kind of goofy and fun.
Goofy and fun? Yeah. It's very approachable.
Yes, very approachable. That's better words for it.
Very approachable. Whereas this has this realism to it that looks like it was traced maybe over a photo. And then this isn't my favorite.
No, that's a little too weird.
Yeah. And this one kind of is okay, but it just doesn't look quite finished. Looks kind of unfinished. But still, if you're in a Rolling Stone comic and your art's in a Rolling Stone comic, that's better than you and I can say. Yes,
that's true. We've been rejected a lot of times.
Now, Mike, I know that you're a huge baseball fan. You never miss a game.
I have season tickets to every stadium.
Somebody we know did the summer tour when we worked at Wizard, where they went from stadium to stadium and traveled throughout the summer. That is a thing, Mike.
Yes, if you like baseball, that's a good way to spend your summer.
I am not a baseball fan. I will tell you, like when I'm there, the few times that I've been there, I've enjoyed it. Once again, 10 speed, go Mets, go Mets. 10 speed press, art by Tom Coker. He is a well-known comic book artist. This cover is clearly drawn by a professional, and the interiors as well have a lot of richness to it. Now, granted, a lot of text.
That's a lot of words.
That is a lot of words.
A lot of
But
words.
if you are a comic book fan and you are a baseball fan, you will find this utterly fascinating. You can see even the way they integrate different types of art styles, collage styles. And if you're really into the history of a particular topic, this is a wonderful way to get into it and share your passion. I'm not sure who the writer was, much about that person, but you know what? That person now has this on their bookshelf as a published book.
And this is telling you everything you need to know about how baseball started, or just like how to play.
No, it's really like
It's
a
the heroes.
history. The
Okay.
heroes, the hustlers, history making swings and misses of America's national pastime. So, there's a lot going on in a nonfiction book about baseball, but as you can see, they don't mince on the words.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, look.
But if you're into this kind of thing, it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure if
Emerald
you know,
Twilight going on there. Yeah, that's true. There you go.
there it is.
Good reference.
Who's that supposed to be? Is that Yogi Berra?
That's Yogi Berra, and that's supposed to be the Green Lantern where he's got all the
Yep.
rings on.
Yep.
Mike, would you read this book?
I would not read this book. No.
I would not read this book, but I believe this would make a nice gift.
It probably would. If you knew a true baseball fan, like this would be something for my father, because he's a big baseball fan. So if I gave this to him, he could sit down and read it and skim through it and see all there was to know about baseball.
Like in all them their pictures.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Okay, the comic book story of beer. All right, so I am fascinated. I was fascinated by this. I have watched documentaries on beer and how it saves society. Ironically enough, I don't drink, but I'm very interested in beer and alcohol because of its role in society. And it is said that humans could not have survived without beer because the water, there was no way to filter it. And that the fermentation process enabled us as humans to drink beer, wine, and liquors and not have pathogens. And no matter where you traveled, if you drank beer, it was basically sterilized.
Yeah. Interesting. See, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Although that's probably not the only thing in this.
There's more to that. Once again, from 10 Speed Press in California.
The cause and solution to all our problems. Redheaded Ed, tired of the IPAs and now wants a Guinness.
Don't even know what that means. I think Guinness is a beer.
This is a beer. IPAs are the like independent beers.
Oh, okay. Do you know I went to the Guinness factory in Dublin?
Oh, I went to the Coors factory in Denver.
Whoa!
Yeah, I know. Me going to a beer factory is shocking.
For you guys that don't drink beer, we sure have gone to beer like iconic locations.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool tour to see the factory and how it all came together.
I agree. Now, the inside of this, I happen to really like this art. I think the way they do the storytelling, if you look, you can see that they actually put this town that shows what the town looked like, but then they put the lettering on the blocks of the roofs.
That's interesting. Yes.
That is a really innovative way of telling a story. And then they would mix it with different art styles. The accidental creation of the very first beer.
Oops.
And then children. But then you can see they mix in different art styles. Now, I don't know if it's one artist or many artists. And as you can see, they don't mince on the words. But we have a mutual friend, you and I, who loves beer. His name is Matt Simpson. If you remember from the Comics Vision days, Matt Simpson. became the beer sommelier.
Okay.
He's a beer sommelier. Yeah, I think he would enjoy this book. If we were to give this to our friend Matt, I think he would very much enjoy mixing his love of comic books and his profession in beer together. Would you read the comic book story of beer?
Probably not. Not my thing.
Come on, Mike.
Although
It's 7,000 years of history.
I know, and I'm sure I would find something interesting in it if I did read it. But if you were just handed me this and a comic about the X-Men, I'd pick the X-Men.
Would you? I find this to be very compelling and a heck of good cover.
Okay.
A heck of good cover. Okay. Anyway, I really like the art. And once again, big shout out to whoever did the art and design on this. This layout here on the left is just outstanding. Don't you think?
Yes. I think that's very impressive. Somebody was really thinking when they did that.
I don't know how I messed up the order of this, Mike, but this was to show us. I don't know what happened.
What? Maybe it was that nap. It messed things up when you.
It did. I have more, but this was some of the. I guess that's it. I guess maybe is that it.
That's the end of your slideshow.
I had taken a lot more pictures.
You're gonna have to hold them up to the camera.
Yeah, I think I let everybody down. I had done Bauhaus, which apparently is an art thing, Mike.
Don't know that.
I don't know much about Bauhaus, but the book looked great. Read a lot of Hemingway. Did you read a lot of Hemingway, Mike?
I didn't read a lot of Hemingway, and I probably wouldn't pick that up.
But with a foreword by Brian Azzarello?
I know Brian Azzarello, but maybe I'd read that part and then kind of flip through the book, but probably wouldn't read it.
All right. This was the story of the Apollo, the ill-fated Apollo mission, which was made into a wonderful movie by Ron Howard, Tom Hanks, and some other people.
Apollo 13. That one I would definitely read. I would pick.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. And then the history of science fiction, the graphic novel adventure, outstanding. I'm sorry that I took all the images out of the slides and kind of messed up the show. Because I realize here that I'm at slide 15 of 17.
I don't know what you were doing.
Mike, the nap was a little too long today.
Yep. That one I would read too. The history of science fiction would be really interesting.
The history of science fiction. Well, I could see I really messed up this show. Mike, this was part 1 of 2, maybe.
We want more, bud. We want more pictures.
I'm not sure if people want more based on the lack of comments.
Bauhaus is an art movement from 1919 to 1933. Interesting.
Well, Mike, I'm not sure if we nailed it with this show or not. Looks like we might not have.
Well, you can still talk about them. You don't have to show pictures of them. We can pretend they see pictures.
Yeah, Mike, we just want people to like, comment, and subscribe. We will see you next Tuesday, maybe with a slightly better show, maybe something that is worth your time. People who show up on a regular basis showed up and they were like ready to eat their popcorn. They were like, this sucks.
We got was that a melty smiley face? Or
yeah, I guess
I see what that is. Must be something from Australia.
I thought this was going to be a win, Mike.
Well, it's half a win. How's that? We got a good 24 minutes out of it.
Mike, we will see everybody again next week. Hold on. Let me put our Funk Casino soundtrack on it. Let you down. And my slide deck was not very good.
Whenever you turn that music on, it cuts off your voice.
How's that better?
Well, yeah, but when you first turn it on, you start talking and we can't hear you.
This better?
That's better.
All right, guys. That was Mike Fasolo's idea. Doing an education.
I wanted a short show this week.
Your short show this week. We love you guys. We'll be back in a week, maybe. Hopefully you'll join us again. Good night, everybody. See you next Tuesday.